Hello BookTube, it's Louise, the big haired bookworm. Lovely to see you. How are you today? I am splendid, thank you very much. I've kept time to stop and start this because I've had phone calls and I've had people coming to the door and I've had deliveries, but I've had fabulous news today. Today I have found out, I have heard that my friend gave birth on Saturday to a beautiful baby boy, and it's wonderful, wonderful news, and I am so happy. So if I am smiling the whole way through this video, it's because I am brimming with happiness because of that wonderful news and that there's a new baby boy in the world. So yes, to them. So yes, so happy, so happy. I'm also happy, of course, because we're here doing our BookTube dance, and I am going to show you the books that I read in June. I'm not going to go through the children's books that I read for the IBW award challenge that I gave myself, because I've already done a video on that. We don't need to do that again. If you're that desperate to really know every single thing that I read during June, you can always go back and watch that video, which would be lovely if you wanted to, but don't feel like you have to. So yes, so these are the books that I read, and one audiobook. We'll start with the audiobook. Only one this month, and that was Cards on the Table by Agatha Christie, which is an Hercule Poirot mystery. It's quite a standard Hercule Poirot. They did in the TV adaptation with David Suchet, which is the best of all the adaptations, I think. They fiddled with the ending of this, and I think the ending of the book is better. I do think they don't fiddle with Agatha. Don't fiddle with Agatha. She knows what she's doing. There she is, always having a watchful eye. I think people think that's a relation of mine because I have this picture up. And no, it's Agatha Christie, the magnificent Queen of Crime herself, always watching me. I loved it. It's a good one. It's very standard, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's lovely to listen to. Is that scary cover? This is a 1951 edition, apparently. I looked it up and it was. Scary covers in 1951. Ooh, yes. Okay, so on with the books I actually read. The first one I read was Jacqueline Winspear's Elegy for Eddie. This is a Maisie Dobbs novel. She is a private detective, private investigator. This is set in 1933 in London. As you can see, the Houses of Parliament there. There's a series of Maisie Dobbs. The first one is called Maisie Dobbs. This is about number 6, and this is the first one I've read because I haven't got the previous ones. I've got quite a few of them now, and I was given this for my birthday. I think it would have been better. I think I did the books a disservice by starting in the middle because I felt a disconnect because I read a lot of 1920s and 30s crime novels that were actually written in that period, and so some of I don't know. I felt a bit uncomfortable. I felt it was there was an element of pastiche. There was an element where I could tell it's a modern day writer writing it. I could feel modern sensibilities in it, and I think that's because I'm so familiar with 1930s writing that some of her behaviour, some of Maisie's behaviour, I didn't feel was. It was incongruent with the time period, and I felt the disconnect, and so felt slightly disconnected from Maisie. But I wondered afterwards whether it's because I didn't know her, and it's coming in the middle of the series. Although apparently you can read them as standalones, I think it would have been better for me if actually I'd started at the beginning and worked my way through. So my plan is to pick up the first 5 or 6 of them and work through and then read on, because I've got a couple after this. So I'll then read on. But I'm definitely going to carry on. I liked Jacqueline Winspear's writing. I liked the mystery in it. I liked the characters. But yes, I think I did the book a disservice by starting in the middle of the series. But yeah, but it's still very good. So those 2 crime books. And then I went on to a bit of a fantasy jag. Starting with Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Now, I've been saying Mass, but it's not, is it? It's Mars. Sarah J. Maas. I've been getting it wrong. But anyway, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. So, yes, this is the first of the Throne of Glass series. This is Meet Selena Sardothian. Oh, such a good name, Sardothian. Beautiful, deadly, destined for greatness. She's an assassin. She was in the salt mines of Endova. And then she was plucked out of there by the Crown Prince and offered the chance to become the King's champion, but she had to go through a to the death tournament, fighting the most gifted thieves and assassins in the land. I love these kind of books. I am an absolute sucker for assassins training and fighting in a tournament. I am a sucker for that. I like where they hear about the training and they get better and they get stronger and then they do the fighting and they're brilliant at this. I am an absolute sucker for that. I know it's a particular trope. Details about workouts. I will sit and read them until the cows come home, especially when it's, a cracking lady assassin like this. I really enjoyed this one. I just thought it was brilliant. Yes, there's a love triangle in it, but I don't mind a love triangle. Maybe it's because I haven't read that much YA, so the love triangle trope isn't old for me yet. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's fine, whatever. I really enjoyed it. So you can imagine what my next book was. Yes, it was the second in the series. It was Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas, which is a continuation. So you know that Selena Sarduthian survives because we have book 2. Of course, I can't go into the details of what happens in this, but look at her. She's in fiery mood at this point. I really liked it. I suffered a little bit from second book syndrome, but I still, cracked my way through it. And then, can you guess what it is yet? Yes, it's book 3. It's Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. Now, Selena carries on. I have to say, out of the first 3, this was my favourite because it had so much training. It had so many workouts, had so much, she's coming into her heritage. She is learning stuff. I am a sucker for that. The only downside for this particular one of the series, YA fantasy, is we had more points of view, more POVs in this, and my favourite were the ones with Selena, but the others were still good. And there is a character that is introduced whose name I have promptly forgotten, who is a witch. Manon, and her story arc, which starts such a good one. She's evil and bad. Oh, so good. So I really liked, those 2 story arcs I really loved. But our main character, Selena, queen or traitor. So there is a 4th book in the series. And I picked it up and I said, so I finished one book and I said to John, I said to the husband, right, I'm don't know whether to just crack on with this or I should, read something else. And he said, read something else. You're just going through them too fast. Is there another one after this? And I said, well, it comes out in September. And he said, well, give yourself a break. And then you've got a book there that you've got to look forward to. You've got a book that you'll be racing to read. And I was like, you're talking so much sense. He said, you'll enjoy it more because the anticipation will grow and you will want to read it. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. You are so right. 20 minutes later, you said you're reading it, aren't you? And I'm like, yes, I'm sorry, I can't wait. I have no willpower when it comes to Sarah J. Maas. And so this is book 4. This is Queen of Shadows. So I read all 4 of them. It's a great book. I mean, this is a good chunky one. What's this? 650 pages. And I flew through it. Oh, I loved it. They aren't high literature and they're escapist fantasy with a cracking kick-ass woman like that. Yes, and all I can say is a fly's just coming. Go away, fly, get your own channel. Yeah, no, I loved it. Selena, I just and you hear King of the Assassin in here, and there's fighting and there's plotting and there's machinations and there's evil and so I read all 4 of the Throne of Glass series. I don't care. I'm not ashamed. I'm proud of myself. Well, not proud of myself, but I thoroughly enjoyed them. And so there they are, all 4. I recommend them to anybody to give them a go. Just give them a go. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but I did. So there we go. So deep breath after that. And then I read 4 more books. I know. I read so much in June. June was a funny month. Wasn't it a funny month? July started off much better. Yay, babies! But anyway, I read this. I bought it in June. The 5th Gospel, Ian Caldwell. It's a Vatican mystery. It says here it's a literary feast. It is much more of a literary book. I really enjoyed it. It's quite dense. It's beautifully written. It's all about the fifth gospel, and if you like books about biblical intrigue, and it is knee deep into gospel interpretation and what that one word means. It took 10 years to write, and you can feel the depth of it and how crafted it was. I didn't particularly connect to the main character. And there is a particular thriller plot device that this uses, which I don't particularly like, and that is where one of the characters refuses to answer direct questions, because if they did, it would give the game away. The plot would, and so repeatedly, especially at the beginning, somebody goes, "Well, did you get that phone call?" Which, asking the reasonable questions, and the brother just shakes his head and refuses to answer, and then the character doesn't go, "Did you not hear me? Did you not hear the?" Do you know what I mean? It's such a plot device, that the character that walks out of the room refusing to answer a question, and it is a device, and I understand why people use it, but it was kind of irritating. There was this one character that I just thought nobody would put up with you, because quite frankly, you can't get a straight answer out of you. But I really liked all the biblical intrigue. I liked all the stuff about the gospel. I did like the reading. I was gripped. I was gripped by it, and it is a more literary thriller, so that was enjoyable. But it still was a page turner. If you ignore and I'm not going to answer that question, I'm going to walk out of the room looking moodily, and everybody accepts that and doesn't say, "No, come back here, explain yourself, you're being irritating, answer the man." There was, yeah, you know what I mean. But so yeah, I do recommend it though. It got better as well. That happened less and less the further we went into it. And if you like all the biblical intrigue, you will love that. And it's everywhere at the moment. I picked it up quite cheaply. Then I had to read The Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan, which is a memoir of Lady Trent. This is a faux Victoriana, a kind of false memoir by Lady Trent, who is. This is her first 19 years. This is her as a young girl, upper echelons of society in a fake Victorian society where there are dragons. She's tightly constrained by society's rules. So as a woman, she is not allowed to study science. She's not allowed, and yet that is her inclination and her drive. And she is particularly fascinated by dragons. So it's all about that, and she goes and she, how she fights society to go and study dragons in this place where they are. If fans of fantasy, science and history will adore this rich and absorbing tale of discovery. I liked it. There weren't enough dragons. I have to say, I've seen some really rave reviews of people just going on about it. I mean, look at that cover. I can understand that. But there weren't enough dragons for me. Also, Lady Trent herself, I found her kind of irritating, her younger self kind of irritating. And the devices, because it's a memoir, that she's in her 80s when she's actually writing this down, and so she's kind of apologising for this, that, and the other. So that she survives all the stuff that she goes through, but it slightly irritated me. I found her younger self. She is consistently doing the dangerous way, willful. She's so willful at times, but repeatedly willful, and is repentant and then goes off and does it again because she's so determined. So I found that a problem, and just not enough dragons. So I was slightly disappointed. I think I went into it with such high hopes because of all the stuff I've heard. I went into it thinking, oh, it's going to be marvellous, it's going to be marvellous. So I think I was a bit disappointed because it wasn't as marvellous. I don't know whether I'd read on in the series. I kind of want to. The Tropic of Serpents is the next one. I kind of would like to because the books are so lovely. And I kind of hope it gets better. Maybe I'll have a look. No, there are enough books out there I don't need to carry on with it. And I'll... Yeah, it's a shame. Shame, but such is life. Then I read a vampire romance. A mesmerising SF horror romance called Sunshine. And she knows he's a vampire. She knows that she is to be his dinner, and that when he is finished with her, she will be dead. Yet when dawn breaks, she is still alive, and now he needs her to help him survive the day. It's got vampires and demons and were-chickens and werewolves and were-lynxes, and it's a brilliantly imagined world. I've read quite a few people, it's Robin McKinley's Sunshine, I've read quite a few people not like it because they feel that there's quite a lot of info dumping. I didn't mind it. I felt that was part of the system. I didn't actually mind how it was written. My main problem was it wasn't a romance. There wasn't enough romance in it. So it's set off as it's a horror romance, and I'm quite happy to have a horror romance. There wasn't enough romance. It was an odd, well, was it? I don't know if you'd say it was a romance even. There was an odd relationship going on. The world was so developed and so intricate and so decided, and I loved all that. I absolutely loved all that. I'm amazed it is a standalone. It would be lovely if she continued it. However, the main character, the other thing was, so yes, I was a bit disappointed. The other thing the main character was tired a lot. So she's so tired, she's not sleeping much, she's so tired for this reason, she's so tired for that reason. And by the end of it, I was yawning my head off thinking, well, two of us are now shattered beyond belief. Now, I understood why she was tired, but it's like, all right. I now am quite shattered myself. Yawning I was reading this. But I read it all the time thinking it's going to develop more, and it didn't. But, God, I've just realised how long this is. I should hurtle through. Yeah. It's a shame. And I've heard that fans of Robin McKinley are not that keen on this. So perhaps I picked up it was the wrong Robin McKinley to start with. Are there better ones out there? If anybody's ever read any Robin McKinley other than that one and knows of a better one, I would be interested in reading more Robin McKinley because I did like her style. But yeah. If anybody has and cares to mention it, that would be fabulous. I'd really like this. So the last book, so many books. The last book that I read in June, well done for carrying on with this video, is The Girl in the Spider's Web by David Lagerkrantz. This is continuing Steg Larsson's Millennium series, which started off with The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So there was a girl with the dragon tattoo, can't remember the next two, The Girl Who Played with Fire and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. And this is David Lagerkrantz's continuation, The Girl in the Spider's Web. I really enjoyed it. I read through it. The only thing, yes, it was good. I think it was a kind of a bit of a middle. It's a good thriller. Lizabeth Slander, who is the girl, she was a bit thinner in this. Her character was thinner. She's such a complex and mesmerising and strong and just such a good character. And I felt that David hadn't got it. I don't think he'd really got under the skin of her, and she felt lightweight in this, and that was a shame. I loved the plot. I loved the story. I loved all the complexity of it, and actually it didn't feel as nasty as the others. The others had a real kind of core of nastiness running through them and people's depravity, and although there was an attempt at that, and there was one or two bits I was a bit like, I didn't get the nastiness running through, which actually I wasn't that bothered about, but I was just a bit disappointed with Elizabeth's character. I felt she was a bit lightweight, didn't truly get her the dark and the light with her, because she's such an interesting mixture of that. So really interested if anybody else has read it, what your feeling of Elizabeth's character was. But I did really enjoy it. It's a lovely thriller to read if you'd like a good thriller. And that's it. I'm going to stop there. That's all the books I've read in June. Well done. This is going to end up being very long, and I apologise for that. But wow, good month, hey? Did you have a good June month? I mean, funny month, let's all agree. But I can't feel anything other than thrilled today. I am just in a happy, happy mood. So yeah, it's been lovely to see you, BookTube. Have you had any fabulous news today? Oh, share it. Share good news. That's what we should do. We should share lovely news between us. Well, it's been lovely to see you, BookTube. Let's do this again.